It's time for the Dane by Local podcast, Let's Get Local. Each month, we'll feature DBL members and hear their stories. So let's jump into our next episode. Welcome to the third episode of Let's Get Local, here the new Dane by Local podcast, where we talk with Dane by Local members about their business and about how they got into that business, and really the people behind what makes them so unique and special. So today I'm really glad to be joined by Tim O'Brien. Tim, thanks so much for taking a few minutes for us today.
Super happy to be here, and thank you so much.
Tim, first off, just introduce us to the company you've helped create here, you and your wife together, and tell us what it's all about.
My wife and I started Apple Wellness in 2010, and we've actually changed our name to The Healthy Place, so formerly known as Apple Wellness. And man, that was 9 years ago, and we set out on that voyage together to impact and help people, and that's what we've been doing ever since.
Tell me quick about the name change. So I know, again, started out as Apple Wellness, but then we saw all these things like Find Your Healthy Place.
Yeah.
Was that what inspired that change?
Apple Wellness was actually to honor my mom. She opened a nutrition store called Apple Nutrition in Oconomowoc. And so love the idea of honoring my mom with it. As we've grown, we've had more and more problems with Apple computers. People calling, wanting to get their iPhone fixed. So I'd see my staff member across the way, turn it off and then turn it back on. And issues like that, and then just as we thought more and more about who we are and what we're doing, The Healthy Place really sums up what we want to bring to Madison. We want to help Madison find their healthy place. So that was born about last year. And so for a while, we were Apple Wellness, The Healthy Place, and currently we've switched to The Healthy Place Apple Wellness, and then we'll eventually drop off that Apple Wellness in the next year here.
That's not an easy thing to do either when you start an organization or company and you have that brand recognition to make that change. So it's a bit of a process,
right? A lot invested there, and it's been a heartache switching it because I love the name too, letting that go. But I think it'll be for the best.
So tell me a little bit, I was reading up on you before we got into this, but tell me a little bit, how did you get into this in the first place?
Yeah, so when I was just a little guy, 4 or 5 years old, my mom fought through cancer. And after she made it through the chemotherapy and radiation, much of her recovery was through the natural way, natural supplementation, strengthening, nourishing, aiding her immune system and recovery from the cancer. And that's what got our whole family. I have 5 siblings, and got us all into it. And we grew up watching my mom manage a GNC nutrition store. And it was a franchise, so all the kids were able to come out and kind of be a part of that. And we'd help put away products. We'd hear hundreds of stories over the years of folks treating things the natural way and the success they're in. So that's kind of where the passion and some of my early education on it came from. And right out of high school, got a job with GNC, and ultimately I moved to Madison back in, that would have been 2004, to be a district manager of some GNC franchises in Madison. And kind of a blessing in disguise, there was a corporate takeover. So everybody lost their jobs at the GNC stores I managed, which was crazy at the time. But like I said, a blessing in disguise, because that's what led me to open my own stores.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I chuckle at that because that's sometimes those are the things in life, right, that force us to go another direction.
Yes, yep, and really to dig down and be like, what do I want to do in life? And found, I love people, love helping people. The idea of impacting people's health and their quality of life is very fulfilling. So it was like a no-brainer.
I understand that background now, but how do you go from that to running your own place, creating your own place? That's a big step up.
Yeah, it really was. It was scary to do. I think I had the passion and the faith to take that step. It wasn't until year 3 that my wife fully understood what putting the house on as collateral meant. She didn't quite get that. That meant we could lose our house, and evidently I didn't explain that well to her, so that was my bad. But no, you're right. There's so much risk. We put it all on the table. We just had a vision and a dream to impact Madison, and believe that we could do it.
And so when you started that business locally, and you started looking around at ways to promote the business, how did you find Dane by Local?
Yeah. I just heard of this organization, and the number one local organization, in the United States. I was like, holy smokes, and love Madison, Dane County, a lot of these other local companies and brands. So it was just like, man, this seems to make sense. Like, why wouldn't I link arms with my fellow brothers and sisters doing the same thing, same risk, same battle, really same purpose, which is to all help people. It just seemed like a kind of a fun group to be a part of.
And was it important to you, because coming from that GNC background, and then you saw the corporate takeover, did that affect you in any way when you looked at your next move to say, I want to call my own shots here a little bit? Or was that not really part of your concern?
Yeah, at the GNC, I love them because they're my roots and taught me a lot of what I know. In the same breath, I saw corporate side of things that I wasn't a big fan of. They're owned by China, for example, so is some concerns, and it really gave me the knowledge of what I did not want to do. So being able to take the good and leave the bad. So yeah, I'd say there's a lot of inspiration there and passion to do it the right way, which is really just putting the soul before the sale. Is ultimately what that all breaks down to. That's kind of our motto at Apple Wellness.
Yeah, I love it. So tell me a little bit about, we talk about the health, you talk about your mom's story, but why do you think it's so important to have, this type of organization, this company here locally to help people because of the times we're in, because of healthcare situations, and, people searching for those alternative ways to kind of deal with things?
Yeah, great question. So I think most are aware of things like the opiate epidemic and the percentage, the volume of people that are on pharmaceutical medications is staggering, and it continues to grow. And I think people are realizing that not a single drug will cure the body of the problem. It doesn't go to the root of the issue. It's kind of like putting a Band-Aid over the engine light in a car. It's like, oh, I don't see the light anymore. Everything must be better. And then issues keep growing. Problems keep getting worse. People get more and more heavily medicated. And this is a cycle that we're seeing constantly in Madison. And so just doesn't mean that we're always the answer to people. What we're trying to be is that resource and that education to tell people, because they just don't know, what is the naturopathic world saying about cholesterol, blood pressure, depression, sleep problems, chronic pain, stress, anxiety. We all know there's a pill for everything in the pharmaceutical world. Well, hey, is there a natural alternative that can treat that same issue problem and then strengthen the body instead of like the drugs poison the body?
Yeah, I think that's such an incredible resource to have more and more visibility for companies like yours.
Trying, yeah.
Yeah, because it's, like you said, you don't want to just throw another medication at a symptom and just cover it up, because that's most of the time, that's what it's doing.
You're exactly right. And even the medical doctors are more and more getting on board with that. So I'm so proud of our medical team in Madison in Dane County. More and more are saying, well, hey, let's try this alternative before we try this. So I'm really thankful for our medical community.
Yeah, my wife's a nurse, by the way.
Oh,
so
awesome.
We definitely take that mentality looking at things.
That's awesome.
And then the previous episode of this podcast was with some people at Group Health Cooperative. And,
wonderful.
And you know how strong they are with complementary medicine and those other sorts of resources. So
it's blowing up. People want to know about it.
We love it. We love it. So I'm so glad you're on today.
Cool.
Tell me a little bit about, I'm sorry. I almost forgot this. This is really important. So we talked about our kids earlier before we jumped on here, because you're a father of 3 and I've got a couple as well. Mm-hmm. So this morning I told my kids I was going to talk to you today.
Oh, cool.
And I said, what should I ask him? What do you guys think I should ask him? So my son wrote down, because he was doing a game with his sister at the time where he couldn't speak for the rest of the morning breakfast. Not sure what prompted.
I should try that game with my kids.
It worked pretty well. But so he hand wrote his question. And he said to ask you, he said, do you know that one of your employees and a product you sell has helped me?
What?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it was pretty cool.
Dude, you tell that kiddo thank you, and that's awesome, and high five him for me.
Oh, well, he, he's a great kid, tons of energy, on the spectrum a bit, and we were trying to find a way to just allow him to shine and be himself, and we struggled with, other things, and we tried some medications, some other things, and then Again, I told you my wife's a nurse. Well, she went to Apple Wellness
No
and now the
kidding.
Healthy Place and
Yeah.
talked to them about options. And so we started him on Charlotte's Web. And
That's awesome,
he's been doing
dude.
it's night and day, night and day with him.
Man, praise God, dude. That's so cool.
Yeah.
God bless that little dude. Oh,
And the thing was, because one of the things he would have big reactions to situations, and he said we asked him after a couple days using the CBD oil and the product, and he said, I might have gotten mad before about something that happened today at school, but today I was
What?
just like, I don't have to react to that.
oh, dude, that makes my
Just
day.
let it
dude.
go.
What, dude?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. And we are hearing testimonies like that, which is like exactly why we open these stores, man. You're a little dude. That's fantastic.
So I say thank you.
yeah, dude.
that.
Oh, thanks for sharing that.
So tell me a little bit more about who makes up your team.
Yeah. So we have a team of almost 30 staff now, which is tremendous growth from last year. We were at 6 or 7. So wonderful growth as a company. And a creative team that works with social media, graphic design. Faith is our marketing specialist. And then we have what are called wellness consultants. And those are the people that you'd see when you come into our stores. And so we got about 20 of those amazing people. And those have gone through tremendous amount of training in order to connect with customers and the curriculum that they've had to go through that we actually created, which is I'm pretty proud of. Quizzes and tests that they have to pass across 3 months in order to connect with our customers. And then we have beautiful logistics in back. They're receiving and shipping and keeping product on the shelf. So that's my team, man. I love them to pieces.
The reason I ask about that is because we've had such great interaction with them.
Oh, that's good to hear.
The times we come into your stores and
Good.
just think you really employ some pretty great people. So.
Thank you. We try to get that customer service in there and treat the human like the gold that they are. Each person matters.
Now you mentioned the design and some of those aspects, the marketing. Now I know you've got some big help there. So tell us a little bit about your wife and how much she does.
Yeah, thanks for asking. Yeah, that is not me at all. I get all the credit for a lot of what happens at Apple Wellness. And Becky O'Brien, my wife, co-owner, and she is the other half of the business, man. So she does all manages the creative team. She's built our social media community center within the social media, and she went to school for graphic design. So I always joke that that's the reason that I married her, was the kind of for the business. Amazing graphic artist, and very thankful for Becky O'Brien.
All right, now I have to dig into a couple other things because it's one thing we get the latitude here to learn a little bit more about the people behind the businesses. Mm-hmm. So I was reading you like extreme sports. What kind of stuff? What kind of stuff are you into there?
Oh man, I mean, before marriage, it was and kids, it was rock climbing and skydiving. So now I'm a little bit more toned down. I feel important to guard my life with kids and everything like that. But anytime I can get my adrenaline going, whether it's scuba diving, surfing in Hawaii, we try to go once a year out to Hawaii. Just hiking up mountains, just seeing the beauty of God's creation is kind of one of my great joys. I do want to take a rocket. Yeah, there's actually like a Rocketeer. You can strap a rocket to your back and fly around like the Rocketeer. So that's a dream someday, and I'd love to go into outer space.
Wow. All right.
Yes.
So
I'm a dreamer.
I also heard that you can juggle.
Oh, yes.
Which I can't do, so I admire you for that. And then
Yes.
you ride a unicycle. I read up on your website.
How'd you learn about? Okay.
Yeah, it's on your website.
Forgot
man.
that's on there. Yeah, I happened to be able to juggle, learn that as a youngster, and impressed my kids all the time, juggling the oranges. And then the unicycle, well, it's kind of like learning to ride a bike. Once you learn it, you got it forever. So I always surprise. It's like a surprise move at parties and stuff.
Tell me, explain, because I would never be brave enough to try that. I don't think I don't have I have some semblance of balance issues at times.
Yeah.
So being up that high and on one wheel, what does that feel like?
Yeah, it's fun. You kind of learn how to fall too. So if you do fall, you don't get hurt. But so you could try it. I believe in you. It is cool though, man. I mean, just zipping around, and if you go down the street, you get people beeping and waving at you. I think you're a clown. So it's a lot of fun.
That's pretty cool.
Yes.
All right. So tell me a little bit more about the core philosophies
Yeah.
of your company and yourself.
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier, souls before sales. In our industry, supplements, vitamins, people think of online sales, maybe Amazon, bodybuilding.com, Vitamin Shop, GNC. And these are some good companies. A lot of times people will leave these places feeling like, okay, it was the guy that was on commission, gaining commission, trying to talk me into a certain product. So pretty early on, we wanted to set up a different kind of culture. And so Souls Before Sales was born. That was something I got as an aha moment. Like, this is what we're about. Let's find a way to put the customer first, educate first, ask questions, talk things through first, and then simply from that point of education, the sales will come. And we've seen that model is, if I'm honest, it was scary to do that in the beginning, to not have sales as the focus, to be mission-driven instead of sales-driven. That was kind of a scary approach. It was like, I didn't know if that could work because that wasn't what was going on at the GNC I had worked at. And that choice early on, I think, is a big part of our success, where people do not come in feeling sold or talked into. We very purposely do not set our wellness consultants up on a commission base, so they don't receive any commission, which really frees them to recommend what's best for the customer instead of what makes the company the most money. And so we do more of a bonus program. So as the company grows and we do the right things for the customers and we continue to see that growth, there's a bonus program for them. So that's a huge part of what we're about. And then ongoing education for our staff. We've heard it said, knowledge is power. And without knowledge for our staff and a continued growth of that knowledge, we're not going to be able to help Madison. So one of our constant focuses from that curriculum that I told you about earlier, and actually the training program and certifications that they need to get through, in addition to that, there's weekly education points and quizzes to keep our whole company on the know and the top of education, because there's a lot of development going on in the world, and in order to stay on top of that, it's important to have that consistent educational focus. So education's power. We invest in that into our staff, and then invest into our customers, which I think shines through, part of what we're known for.
Talking with Tim O'Brien of The Healthy Place, Apple Wellness, today on this episode of Let's Get Local. And Tim, so you brought up a number of really interesting things there. And I think that trend that you talked about, that business model is now, like a lot of other companies are getting it. This is what is working. We need to build trust with the customer base.
Yeah.
And how do we do that? By sharing information, by letting them know that, we have knowledgeable, good people there that can answer their questions, and also not feel like they're trying to be sold.
Exactly.
And I think that's great. That's a fantastic way to go about it. Maybe
Thank you so much.
You seem to be on the front end of that, but I think some other people are getting the word now and like, hey, this works. This is a good way to do business, right?
Any business owner, it's like the way to do business. If you can find a way to truly put the customers first, and the sales will follow, it's pretty cool.
When we talk a little bit about some of those other core philosophies and where the business has gone and grown and how all of that has shaped you, tell us, how well is this business doing now? Because you guys started out with one location, right? And now we're
moving up to 4. Yeah.
Right?
Yep. So, the growth has been awesome over these 9 years. Double-digit percentage growth every single year. And this last year has been just extreme growth. All the pieces are coming together. So you do the right things, you put the customer first, and then you invest in a team to be able to raise the ceiling on what you're able to do. It used to just be me at the store juggling, by myself. And now to have a team of almost 30 that's just impacting Madison in 1,000 different ways is pretty cool to watch. So yeah, up to 4 locations. Our existing stores are Fitchburg and Sun Prairie, and now moving to the west side of Madison and Middleton.
Wow. And so if you're starting a business, an early tip to get people in the door, juggling and on the unicycle.
Yes.
Right? That's it?
That should be in business school.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right. So that'll lead me to a new subject that we kind of wanted to bring into these podcasts, which is a speed round Q&A.
Sure, yeah. Oh, I'm ready.
So I want your gut reaction to this. I'm just going to ask you. Doesn't mean it's your favorite, but you're going to find a group, organization, business in these categories that you think favorably of. The first one that comes to mind for you. All right. So, restaurant.
Fuego's Mexican.
A local festival.
A local festival. I can't. I'm blanking.
Might be a brat in the first part of that.
Oh, of course, yeah. Come on, brats.
And again, the whole I didn't set this up well enough. The whole theme of this is locally infused ideas. So local businesses, local nonprofits, that type of thing.
Sure.
All right. So give me a view or site.
Oh man, Picnic Point down in the Isthmus.
And do you drink coffee?
I love coffee. Yeah.
Okay,
Breaks.
good. All right. Okay. What's your favorite nonprofit?
Goodness, CareNet is a local. Yeah, they do a great job. Take care of women in vulnerable situations. Love those guys.
How about a street name?
Willie Street.
And now this one doesn't fit the whole local idea, but it was just my curiosity. Your favorite eating utensil?
Fork. Yeah, if you can't stab it, it's not worth eating. No, I'm joking.
All right, you got through that pretty well.
That's awesome.
Just kind of wrapping up here today, and thanks so much again for taking a little time for us.
Of course.
So now we're the Healthy Place, Apple Wellness, soon to be just the Healthy Place.
Yep.
As you look to the future, I mean, what you built with your team in the last 9 years, but now you look to the future, what do you see for the future of your company?
Man, I see one of my great passions in life is impact. Impacting every individual that I come in contact to, just making them smile kind of brings joy to my heart. So in the area of health and wellness, it's more impact. And so I think that'll be through more stores. I think that'll be through our brands that we've created. We have CBD brand, probiotic, different vitamin brands. I think we'll be able to impact the United States as a nation over the next 9 years and really grow our impact there. In addition, just being that knowledgeable resource, a trusted resource and anchor that people can call, email, stop by, ask their health questions. Doesn't mean they have to buy anything. And just being that resource to Wisconsin in a greater way over the next 9 years.
I would love it. I'd love to see that continued growth and impact
Awesome.
that you plan to make.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
So looks like you're off to a pretty good start.
Yeah, we're cruising, man.
I would be remiss. I almost forgot about this. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about. Now I know there are tons and tons of products that you carry.
Yeah.
But what are some of the big ones right now that are really helping people that people are asking about that you might be able to give a little more information?
Yeah,
about?
The top two struggles people come in with is chronic pain and stress. Top two, without question. Majority of the customers coming in. So when you look at the chronic pain situation, nutrients like CBD oil, curcumin, boswellia, hyaluronic acid, Powerhouse is very successful in getting people away from the drugs, the pain medications, while maintaining and keeping their pain low. And then stress side, again, CBD, stress, anxiety, nutrients like adaptogens, rhodiola, ashwagandha, astragalus, maca. You don't have to remember all these, but come on in, we'll show you. We're able to be quite successful in managing people's stress in the natural way as well.
That's fantastic. Tim O'Brien of The Healthy Place, Apple Wellness, and his great team. Thanks so much, Tim.
Thanks so much, man.
Thank you for checking out Dane by Local's new podcast, Let's Get Local, available on YouTube, Facebook, and DBL's website. Join us next month for more local talk.